the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Do you have a teenager who's dating now, and you've got some worries or some reservations around that? Or are you currently dating someone, but you've got a nagging feeling that maybe something just isn't right and you're not sure, but maybe you've been going out for quite a while and, boy, you hate to end it, but you're just not sure there's a good future there? Well, I got a wonderful email from a mom, and I think her situation is, I think there's a lot of folks in the same boat. I'm going to have to paraphrase this a little bit, but so she says they've got a daughter who's almost 16, and started dating a young man who's 2 grades ahead of her in school, right? Mom and dad of the girl gave permission. They both attend Catholic schools. They're receiving some good Catholic formation through the school, which is good. And they've also known this young man and his family for a number of years. So, they figured he was a good kid and a safe kid for their daughter to date. Okay, so it was kind of an informed decision. Plus, she says, we've also talked openly with all of our children about marriage and family and chastity and boundaries and all that kind of stuff. And so she feels they've been pretty proactive in all of that. So their kids are not naive and they're pretty well formed. And there you go. So anyway, so they've okayed the dating, but they've set some boundaries around that, like no one-on-one time, right? So, spending time together in the car, coming and going places, etc. They've really voiced a preference to group dating, right? Hanging out in larger groups, or, being there in the home with the family, playing board games or whatever, which would be pretty good. All right. So anyway, so here's mom's concern. It says, sometimes there seems to be a good or quote unquote, an innocent reason why daughter and boyfriend end up alone kind of at the end of the evening, right? So they're attending a sports game or they're with friends out somewhere at the library, maybe studying, and then people kind of, go different ways, and all of a sudden daughter needs a ride home, and the young man's got the car, and so he brings her home, right? So it's created a little friction between parents and daughter, which makes sense, right? And then the other thing is I guess they attend single-sex schools, so they're at different schools, so they don't see each other at all during the school day. And so they're it sounds like daughter's kind of pushing to spend a little bit more time with this young man than what they're comfortable with, simply because they don't ever see each other during the day, right? And so daughter's argument is that they naturally need to spend more time together outside of school because they don't see each other in school. There you go. So it sounds like, she says, daughter and this young man have got a good head on their shoulders. Yet obviously there's some immaturity based on their age and lack of brain development that goes with that age, etc., wanting to know if I have any guidance or words of wisdom. Well, and I think it's an issue that a lot of parents face. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, what I must tell you is that when I was a junior in high school, I had a steady girlfriend, and she was a freshman, so she was 2 grades behind me, and we dated for about 9 months. Then we broke up when I was a senior and she was a sophomore. I will say this, my mother wasn't all that happy about this situation. Now, and I was a perfect gentleman, and that young lady's virtue is never in danger at all, and I treated her very well. But I've been there, done that, so I'm in this situation, or at least with this young man. So, all right, with that said, we start from the question of what is the purpose of dating? And the purpose of dating is ultimately marriage. So you could certainly argue that if you're not yet ready to marry, you should not be dating, right? Or at a minimum, you shouldn't be going steady. Right. So as a general rule, the idea is no serious dating until you're within about 2 years of being in a position to be able to get married. And 2 years is kind of the magic number because it takes a couple years to really get to know somebody and to really get to know their defects, right? It's pretty hard to pretend to be somebody or not over a 2-year period of time. And so a person's true colors generally show up about that 2-year mark. And there's statistics that bear that out. Couples who date at least 2 years before they get married have a lower divorce rate than those who get married in under 2 years. All right? So that's the general rule. Now, I think you can make an argument, though, that teenagers need to learn how to interact positively with members of the opposite sex. And This happens naturally in large families, right? Because they've got brothers and sisters they've got to learn how to get along with, etc. But, a lot of kids grow up in homes where they don't have a lot of brothers and sisters these days, right? So that then provides some logic for the idea of group dating, which I'm a very big fan of, certainly which my wife and I encourage our kids to do, group dating as opposed to individual dating, right? So generally, again, a rule, exclusive dating is to be discouraged if you decide to permit it, as this mom has. I think you're right to put some boundaries around it. And I'm not saying it should be, totally forbidden. There are situations where it might not be a bad idea. Sounds like this is a reasonable situation that your daughter is in. I like the idea of no time alone, especially in the car, right? All kinds of bad things can happen in the car. And I like the idea of limiting the amount of time they spend together during the week as well, all right? And so I think part of it is to help the daughter understand, well, what is it you're really trying to accomplish here with this dating, right? And if you're trying to accomplish some experience in getting along and talking with members of the opposite sex, figuring out how their brain works, sure. But you don't need to be together, 5 nights a week or 4 nights a week or 3 nights a week. 1 or 2 might be good, right? Boundary violations result in a loss of privileges generally. That's the deal. So if they can't figure out, how to live within the rules, well, then you can't go out. You got to be able to get home, without being alone with this young man in the car. And if you can't figure that out, then you can't go out. It's kind of a simple thing, I think. Now, it's going to be normal for your daughter to push back on some of these boundaries. And, you may hear things like, why don't you trust me? I think the right response to that is, I do trust you. I just want to protect you from getting into situations that you're not yet ready to handle, right? So I protect you based on where you are, but there are still certain boundaries based on your age and level of experience, okay? And if she keeps pushing back, I think the response is, listen, I don't expect you to agree with me, and I'm not interested in getting into a debate with you to try to convince you that I'm wrong, but I do want you to understand my position, okay? So here's my position on it. Do you have any questions about my position, or do you understand my position? But if you want to get into a fight about whether or not I'm right to have this position, well, I'm not interested in having that conversation, okay? On a side note now, let me say this is why I personally, and my wife as well, are big fans of the community college system and having kids go off to the community college for a couple of years before they go off to the big 4-year school. And that gives you a couple more years to grow up and to mature and start getting a feel for what the world is like outside of this. And frankly, if you've got your kids in good private Catholic schools, they're growing up a little bit sheltered as to what is really going on in the real world. And I will tell you, so I said my son graduated from University of Tennessee today, and it's been a long time since I've been on a college campus. Oh my. It's quite a different world from when I was there. And you can see how it would be very easy for a young person to get a little confused, right? And a couple more years at the junior college where they're still living at home and you can reinforce what's going on and encourage them, I think is not a bad idea. Okay. So anyway, that little sidebar of the community college thing, I will tell you, I think at least four of my kids went through the community college system, maybe 5. And every one of them said if it was a 4-year school, they'd stayed right there. They thought the quality of their education as freshman and sophomore was superior at the community college than it was at the 4-year school. Plus, they got to live at home, which made me happy. All right. So just listen, a couple ideas. Little siblings, if they want to go out on a date, little siblings can go with them to the movies or whatever and kind of tag along. That's okay. The boy could come to the house for movies and a pizza or for studying together, right? And it sounds like you're doing all that stuff pretty well. So I don't have any great things that you should do differently. Keep the communication open. I think that's the key with your daughter. Just keep the communication open. That 2-year difference between the two of them is a bit of a concern, especially at that age. Man, 2 years is kind of a lot in terms of maturity and view of life and experiences, et cetera. Presumably, the boy will be going off to college soon, and normally these relationships don't last long once you're separated and you're off to college. And so my hunch is this relationship will run its course. Your daughter will gain some experience in the dating realm and learning how boys' brains work, and that could be helpful going down the road. So most high school romances are kind of short-lived. On a practical level, I would recommend the book Christian Courtship in an Oversexed World. And Jim will put that in the show notes, by Reverend T.G. Morrow, Morrow. Wonderful book for parents to read. I was so impressed with that book that I bought 9 copies of it, one for every one of my children. That's that. That's my thought on that. We've got a caller up in Wisconsin. I'd be happy to talk with Mary right now. Hello, Mary.
Hi, Doug. Well, I want to thank you very much for all your help. I have
You're welcome.
a son and 2 daughters. I'm married. We all listen to your show and family members.
Oh, thank you.
And what I'm calling about, my daughter has actually reached out to you by email twice regarding a relationship. She's 26,
Okay.
very virtuous, over 2 years in this relationship. She lives on her own. She works, very independent, dating someone who's 26. The gentleman lives at home, has never went away to college. And she brought up a term with you that we have now learned a lot about, and it's enmeshment.
Enmeshment, yeah.
Just to bring you up to speed. And you understood everything going on and explained it more to her. She has also ordered your course,
Great.
pre-marriage course, and they've both gone through it in full detail.
Oh, good.
And so a lot was learned there of differences. And at this point, I think she sees a lot of differences, even though this particular person is very good at saying the right thing, but there's no actions as you've taught us.
Okay, yeah.
No changing going on, no moving out, just has never been introduced to living on their own at 26 years of age, a lot of excuses for saving money and not needing to right now, not accountable for having, we all have failures and we have to kind of get back up, brush ourselves off, and get going from there. Haven't seen a lot of that. My kids we've tried to protect them, prepare them for the world, and they independently take care of themselves, but they always know they have a safe place, a net to fall back on. We're here if something happens, but they make decisions and they have to live with them, and consequences are theirs to sort through as well. Nothing of danger. The concern we're having now, and I'll throw out the word because it might help you better.
Okay.
She does not know how to separate from this. There seems to be she's a very strong, independent person, but there's a lot of manipulation with her feelings and so forth. And this is her longest first relationship. Yeah. Keeps trying to help this person with all his brokenness with his mother. And the mother doesn't have a relationship with the father, though they're in the same house. That seems to be the thing that flies in her face in even a dangerous way. And I'm not sure as a mother. We talk often. She touches base. She comes home, visits, and then she's like, I just need space. This is time to separate and just have space and see if anything changes. But within a couple of days, it's cooking dinners together, going to church. Yeah. It's a lot of love bombing.
Yeah. Well, so it sounds like there are definitely some things to be concerned about. The enmeshment, it seems to be, definitely spot on. If you're still living at home at 26, there should be a really good reason for that. Like mom or dad are sick, and they need serious help or nursing care or whatever, and you can provide that. And the other concern is that if he isn't changing, the saying is believe the behaviors, not the words. So anybody can talk a good game, but you actually have to stand and deliver. And if you can't, well, there you go, right? Then you know. And, after dating now this young guy for a couple of years, she knows what he's all about. But it sounds like her gut is saying something isn't right here. But she still doesn't have quite the resolve to just cut it loose and let it go. And he keeps trying to pull her back in. And that's a great trick of people who want to control others rather than control themselves, right? I want to turn you into what I want you to be as opposed to turning myself into what you need me to be. And so that love bombing is a pretty good trick there. So Believe the behaviors, not the words. Does that
How
help?
do you go about breaking off something after such duration? And
Yeah. Well, it's going to take real courage. And I think your daughter should go total no contact for a while. So listen, I need some time to figure this out. I need to take a break. I'm going total no contact for 60 days. So don't call me, don't text me, don't do anything. Give me time to figure this out. That separates her from the problem, gives her a chance to get, because one of the problems when you're dealing with somebody who's very controlling, manipulative, love bombing is you lose your own identity. You're not even sure who you are anymore. And so you need some time to recatch your balance. So I think 60 days is a good amount of time to go no contact. And so, at the end of 60 days, if I'm feeling better, I'll reach out and I'll give you a call. We got to go 60 days. Like what you just heard? Share it with your family and friends.